Hi Gemini, here is a general look at your solar chart for June 2012, and may I wish you a happy birthday if you haven't had it already. This is a powerful month for you with the Sun in your sign until the 21st, and there are some fair winds blowing in your direction this month, Gemini, but maybe also from your direction as well. In general, the way should be clearer, though, for you to improve things for yourself personally and pursue personal interests and professional ambitions, especially for you early Geminis, and particularly after mid-month. So anyway, the headline news, though, is that Jupiter enters your sign on the 12th and will stay for 12 months, bringing a time of potential and expansion into new areas for you, and Jupiter will help you to widen your scope, widen your territory, maybe see just a broader range of options, and take a less stressed, ant-like, becoming the hammer, not the nail, more, but just tending to be more philosophical about things with the Jupiter transit. And of course it'll kind of come in waves throughout the year, and it will be affecting you early Geminians just around about now and next month, and then it'll move forwards, but then all the planets, they move backwards again. So I'll sort of touch on it again. Largesse, now there's a nice word, is a Jupiter trait. But avoid pie in the sky enterprises which, like Jupiter's great gas clouds, consists of nothing much more than hot air and is not substantial. Learning through doing is a key theme of Jupiter, so some of you will be learning, you'll be on quite a learning curve, and sometimes it won't be what you've chosen, you know, because it's not all sort of happy stuff, happy clappy stuff with Jupiter. It can be, you get flung into something and it's almost like but you will be learning. And Jupiter tends, though, to be generous, because like this, he's a big planet and he has a big heart, so he will tend to put a safety net under you. But you will probably be learning new skills, or simply putting skills you have already out there in a more lucrative way, a valuable way, or simply putting more valuable life experience under your belt. But Jupiter loves to teach, so some of you may be getting into sharing your knowledge, sharing your experiences with others, but definitely learning an awful lot through experiencing with Jupiter here. Jupiter does tend to land good things in your lap out of a clear blue sky, also when you least expect it, when you were making other plans, but that's the way of it. Also, you're likely to travel more, some of you, or have more interaction, at least with foreign lands, or more interaction with those, mingling with those very, very different backgrounds and views and cultural roots to your own. That's what makes it very, very interesting, the Jupiter transit in your sun sign. So overall, it's going to be time for you to spread your wings, think bigger, don't sweat the small stuff, plunge into unusual environments, and be more adventurous in your thinking when Jupiter is aspecting an important point, your sun, or an important point in your natal chart, Gemini. But it will be affecting the whole of the sign, and it's affecting the very early Geminians at the moment. Now, having said all that, I want to just mention Neptune, because I did so last month, but you need to hear this again, or maybe you haven't heard it before. Neptune, which can be a wonderful friend and ally, needs handling in the angle it is coming at your sun sign at the moment, Gemini, and it's affecting you early Geminians. So you're getting both. You're getting Jupiter and Neptune, and they're both, well, particularly Neptune is the least material, physical, earthy of all of the planets. You know, it can have you building castles in the air. It can have you telling yourself porky pies, which is lies. Yeah, but you believe them. You know, it can mean some escapism is creeping in there, and you can feel a bit kind of almost like you're in free fall or lost or numb or something. So just watch out for that. If you're handling the energy, and you're keeping your feet on the ground, you're realistic, you're taking one step, you're putting one foot in front of the other, and doing it and getting on, then you may have to be just a little bit more humble, a bit more selfless, a bit more nurturing, and that does not mean just out there to them, it means also to you. But basically pooling your resources and serving a common good, or serving, helping somebody who really does rather need your help, just giving them some support, or pooling your resources for a bigger idea, something is bigger than you, so just making yourself available for that. Neptune is a wonderful healing energy. Neptune is a wonderful imaginative energy. I mean, you can touch into amazing areas with this Neptune aspect into you early Geminis. It's also a very spiritual energy, and it's a wonderful energy for unconditionality, no judgment. And it's very coming into your career area, just creeping in there, and so it's going to be in there for so many years, over a decade, so you need to know this stuff. Some of you will change what you do for a living, but it does support very well anything to do with the arts, spirituality, healing, medicine, film, photography, acting, counselling, therapeutic counselling, that is, anything to do with the sea or boats, inland boating, or sea boating, hospitality, cuisine, and charities, anything which serves the common good. If you're out there in the forces maybe and you're really putting yourself out there, that's another Neptune thing. So I just needed for you to know that before I get on with June. Now, in June, we've still got Venus, planet of flow, in your sign, and you can do very, very well, and you could find good things come through certain contacts, which tend to be female, but don't have to be. Venus is a very female energy. It would be better for you to team up, though, to be successful. It's a good time for you to be drawing to yourself what you want and who you want in your life, and overall you can do better materially. So that relates to finances, that relates to property and possessions, smaller possessions, and this is the right time for you to negotiate a good deal for yourself. And certain relationships may be centered around, whether they're fleeting ones or long-term ones, they may be centered around property, finances, use of assets, improvements in physical well-being as well, that's another thing, but also improvement in you're using yourself as a potential asset in some way. You're honing your skills because you've got a certain leaning, a certain, you're rather good at something. In fact, you tend, Gemini, to be rather good at a lot of things, which that doesn't necessarily compute as being you on a winner, because you can just dilute yourself and have fingers in too many pies. So anyway, with Venus here, you can really target some aspect of your being, which is a very versatile being, and just really make something of it. You could be feeling more self-indulgent at this time as well, and want to treat yourself to things, or purchases which boost your morale. But actually with Venus in your sign, others might want to give you treats, because there's something more appealing and attractive about you. In fact, those of you who are able can really make hay while the sun shines, and really have a makeover, go on that sort of diet or exercise regime or whatever, but also get yourself a bargain, get yourself a good deal, and you can, as I say, you're much more appealing at this time, and it's a very sociable time with Venus in your sign, because you just tend to be gathering to you others and other contacts. Now, having said all that, just to let you know that Venus is going retrograde until the 27th, which may mean you've got to be a bit more patient, things go a bit more slowly, you've got to work a bit harder at certain relationships, be more careful with certain people, take more time with the affairs of that area to further your personal interests. Don't leap before you've really looked properly, and do not engage mouth before brain. And then these sorts of conditions will start to ease at the very end of the month. The last couple of days of the month and into the first 2 days of July actually are really the best, because that's when Venus comes nearest Jupiter. There is also another emphasis in this area as well, which is the lunar eclipse, which is happening on the 4th, and that will signal new beginnings with your personal interests or your personal image, Gemini. And that can be, professional interests as well. Now, your ruling planet Mercury, which whizzes around so fast, a bit like you, is in your sign until the 7th, which means that you may be coming and going more. Those wheels of your mind, maybe windmills of your mind, may be whirling around. You'll be perhaps more in information exchange, got the to-do list, picking up a little bit of a little nugget and a little snippet here, a little following the breadcrumbs there. You're mentally alert, you're in the flow, and you are, for the most part, I would say, really enjoying interaction with others, but you may have a lot on your mind. And there may be more paperwork as well. And then Mercury moves from the 7th to the 26th, so the mental focus will have a practical health orientated slant. Discussions will tend to be around basic stuff, material resources, property maybe, finances, you weighing up the pluses and minuses of this move or that move or another move, and it might also be related to lines of supply and the basic physical material aspects of your life here on Earth. You may be keeping a weather eye on the piggy bank, who isn't, but it is up to you to play your cards right to manifest what would be of highest service, or highest good, shall I say. Information gathering, paperwork, you have all this sort of very materialistic, practical slant is about basic things, so buying, selling, maybe renting, leasing, etc. It could be related to that. And it could also be relating about best use of your talents, and you finding that you can perhaps make a little bit more from those that you realized you could. Or there's just something, something that just makes you wonder about developing those a little bit more. From the 26th, it's likely you will be mentally on the ball and on the go. Increased communications through speaking and writing is likely, correspondence, paperwork, online, but overall it still does tend to be a very, very sociable time, because Venus in your sign tends to make it like that right through until August anyway, and that's the way you like it. And, you're feeling warmer and friendlier, and not that you aren't, but it just does make for a generally warmer and a friendlier, sort of lighter vibe. And so a great time for making connections when Mercury moves into this area, making connections from the 26th, making connections and perhaps promotions, or being in negotiation situation, or searching out information or sharing information. The downside, though, is that you can get a bit scattered and jumpy and hasty, so do what you can to align with yourself and still your mind. And you could find that certain company is lucrative or opens the way to other types of resources for you. Now, Mars is still at the root of your chart, but it's only got a month left. It's only got June and then goes out of there in the beginning of July. Mars, which means, or could have meant, that over these many months, since last November in fact, you could have been busier than usual getting organized in and around a base of operations, more demands on your physical energy there. maybe centered around property matters, a living space related to family or tribe, or with neighborhood or over the wires. It's affecting you Geminians now mostly from around about the 5th of the month until the end of the month. Sorry, 5th of June to the end of the 21st, 22nd of June. So over this time you could have been spending physical energy could have been going into a living space inside or a space outside, or centered around property, centered around initiating things around property. You may feel as that you're making huge efforts to set things in place, and that might be to do with property, but it might not. It might be to do with subtler things like your general life direction, your career. It could be like that, or your inner balance and where you're anchored inside. So you may have been, some of you, searching for the right place to put down roots, but it's a bit like the salmon swimming upstream. Sometimes the way is strewn with challenges, but also putting down roots for yourself within, like who to be with, not just where to be, not just the place on the map. So anyway, it's all grist to your mill. Some of you would have been DIYing like crazy, home improvements, lots of hustle and bustle on the home base, whether this is a permanent home base or just a temporary home base. As always with Mars, though, there can be moments of tension when you don't agree with the way somebody else is doing something. There can be conflict, and you can be touchy, and with those around you, get in the mood. Also, this Mars position can trigger memories from the past. Maybe you've revisited somewhere you were in the past, or there is a blast from the past, and if ever there was a time to open that cupboard that's got the ghosts in it and the skeletons in it, then this is the time, because you can sort of square up to that and get that sorted out, particularly with Venus in your sign. Otherwise, just get on with practical tasks when you're feeling maybe a little bit, emotions are a bit nearer, a bit sensitive, and just do what you can for others, which takes your attention off yourself. And so that's it for June. Now, from the 21st, you will be really focusing a lot more on your stuff, Gemini, and property and finances. That will be you getting more realistic and looking at the details of things. And that's it for June. If you here I've been talking about the faster moving inner planets, but also this has got to be laid against the background of the slower moving outer planets, which you can find out what they're doing if you go to my website if you're not there already, and it'll tell you which part of your sign the big hitters, the slower moving outer planets, are affecting at the moment. And also you might want to listen to the forecast for your rising sign, or maybe your moon sign, and just take from it what you need, what makes sense to you, and chuck out the rest. And I hope that helped anyway, and I'll see you the next time.